Good morning friends, welcome to Gyan channel. In today's class we will be discussing about origin, history and growth of internet with role of internet as a tool of communication and future of web journalism and cyber media. So let's begin the class. Firstly we discuss about the history of internet. We should know that internet initially started from the USA only. It was result of visionary thinking by people of the early 1960s in USA. We saw the potential of computers to share information on research and development in scientific and military fields. JCR, leader of MIT, first proposed a global network of computers in 1962 and moved over to Defense Research Advanced Research Project Agency, that is also called DARPA, in late 60s to head the work to develop it. Leonard Kinrock of MIT and later UCLA developed a theory of packet switching, which was to form the basis of internet connections. Lawrence Roberts of MIT connected a Massachusetts computer with a California computer in 1965 over dial-up telephone lines. It showed the feasibility of wide area networking, but also showed that the telephone line circuit switching was inadequate. Kinrock's packet switching theory was confirmed. Roberts moved over to DARPA in 1966 and developed his plan for ARPANET. These visionaries of many more left unnamed here are the real founders of the Internet. The Internet was known as ARPANET was brought online in 1969 under contract led by renamed ARPA, Advanced Research Project Agency, which initially connected four major computer universities of the southwestern US. They are UCLA, Stanford Research Institute, UCSB, and the University of Utah. Contract was carried out by BBN of Cambridge, MA, under Bob Kahn, and went online in December 1969. By 1971, MIT, Harvard, BBN, and System Development Corporation, Santa Monica, California, Stanford, MIT, Lincoln Labs, Carnegie Mellon, so many universities and important institutes plugged in. After that, there were too many to even list here. Now we talk about who was the first to use the internet. Charlie Klein of UCLA sent the first packets on ARPANET as he tried to connect to Stanford Research Institute on October 29, 1969. The system crashed as he reached the letter G in login. Internet was designed to in part to provide a communication network that would work even if some of the sites were destroyed by nuclear attack. If the most direct route was not available, routers would direct traffic around the network via alternate routes. The early internet was used by computer experts, engineers, scientists, and librarians. There was nothing friendly about it. Email was adopted by ARPANET in 1972. At the rate symbol was picked up at the time because it was available symbol on the teletype of the link, the username and address. Telnet protocol enabling logging in the remote computer was published as a request for comments, that is also called RFC 1972. After the RFCs became the means for sharing development works throughout the community. FTP protocol, file transfer protocol, enabling file transfer between internet site was published as an RFC 1973. And from then the RFCs were available electronically to anyone who had use of FTP protocol. After that, libraries began automating and networking their catalogs in the late 70s, independent from ARPA. Ethernet, a protocol for many local networks, appeared in 1974, an outgrowth of Harvard student Bob Metcalfe's dissertation on packet networks. Internet matured in the 70s as a result of TCP/IP architecture first proposed by Bob Kahn at BBN and further developed by Kahn and Winthrop at Stanford and others throughout the 70s. Listserv software was developed for the network and later others. Gateways were developed to connect BitNet with the internet, allowed exchange of email, particularly for email discussion lists. In 1986, National Scientist Foundation funded NSFNet as a cross-country 56 kbps backbone for the internet. They maintained their sponsorship for nearly a decade, setting rules for its non-commercial government and research uses. In 1989, another significant event took place in making the nets easier to use. Tim Berners-Lee and others in the European Laboratory for Particle Physics, more popularly known as CERN, proposed a new protocol for information distribution, World Wide Web (WWW) in 1991, based on hypertext, a system of embedding links in text to link to other text, which you have been using every time you selected a text link while reading these pages. Although it started before Gopher, it was slower to develop. The development in 1993 of the graphical browser Mosaic by Mark Anderson and his team at the National Center for Supercomputer Application (NCSA) gave the protocol its big boost. Later, Anderson moved to become the brains behind Netscape Corporation, which produced the most successful graphic type of browser and server until Microsoft developed its Microsoft Internet Explorer. Microsoft's full-scale entry into the browser server and internet service provider market completed major shift over a commercially based internet. Release of Windows 98 in June 1998 with a Microsoft browser well integrated into the desktop shows Bill Gates' determination to capitalize on the enormous growth of the internet. Wireless has grown rapidly in the past few years, and travelers research for the Wi-Fi hotspots where they can connect while they are away from the home or office. Many airports, coffee bars, hotels, and motels now routinely provide these services, some for a fee and some for free. Municipal Wi-Fi or city-wide access WiMAX offering broader ranges from than Wi-Fi, eVideo, 4G, and other formats will just for dominance in the USA in the years ahead. Another trend that is rapidly affecting web designers is the growth of smaller devices to connect to the internet. Small tablets, pocket PCs, smartphones, e-books, game machines, and even GPS devices are now capable of tapping into the web on the go. Many web pages are not designed to work at that scale as the internet has become ubiquitous, faster, and increasingly accessible to non-technical communities. Social networking and collaborative services have grown rapidly, enabling people to communicate and share interests in many more ways. Sites like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Flickr, Second Life, Delicious, blogs, wikis, and many more let people of all ages rapidly share their interests of the moment with others everywhere. Now we talk about internet as a tool of communication. The concept of data communication, transmitting data between two different places connected via some kind of electromagnetic medium such as radio or an electronic wire, actually predates the introduction of first computers. Such communication sites systems were typically limited to point communication between two end devices. Telegraph systems and telex machine can be considered early precursors of this kind of communication. The easier computers used the technology available at the time to communicate between CPU and remote terminals. However, the point to point communication model was limited as it did not allow for direct communication between any two arbitrary systems. The technology was also deemed as inherently unsafe for strategic and military use because there were no alternative paths for communication in case of any enemy attack. As a response, several research programs started to explore and articulate principles of communications between physically separate systems, leading to the development of packet switching mode of digital networking. The research led to the development of several packet switching networking solutions in the late 1960s and 1970s, including ARPANET, Telnet, and the X25 protocols. This led to the application of packet switching to develop a protocol for internetworking where multiple different networks could be joined together into a super framework of networks. By defining a simple common network system, the Internet Protocol suite concept of the network could be separated from its physical implementation. Following commercialization and introduction of privately run Internet service providers in the 1980s and the Internet's expansion for popular use in the 1990s, The internet has had a drastic impact on culture and commerce. This includes the rise of near instant communication by electronic mail, email, text based discussion forums, and the WWW. Investor speculation in new markets provided by these innovations would go lead to the inflation and subsequent collapse of the dot-com bubble. But despite it, the internet continues to grow, driven by commerce, greater amounts of online information and knowledge, and social networking known as Web 2.0. Now we talk about Internet Engineering Task Force. Requests for comments started as memoranda addressing the various protocols and facilitate the functioning of addressing the Internet were previously added by the late Dr. Postel as part of IANA functions. IETF started in January 1985 as a quarterly meeting of US government funded researchers. Representatives from non government vendors were invited, starting with the fourth IETF meeting in October of that year. In 1992, the Internet Society, a professional membership society, was formed and the IETF was transferred to operate under it as an independent international standards body. Now we discuss about the search engines. Even before the World Wide Web WWW, there were search engines that attempted to organize the internet. First of these was a Archie search engine from McGill University in 1990, followed by 1991 by VAS and Gopher. All three of these systems predated the invention of the World Wide Web, but all continued to index the web and the rest of the internet for several years after the web appeared. As a web grew, search engines and web directories were created to track pages on the web and allow people to find things. The first full text web search engine was WebCrawler in 1994. Before WebCrawler, only web page titles were searched. Another early search engine, Lycos, was created in 1993 as a university project and was the first to achieve commercial success. During late 1990s, both web directories and web search engines were popular. Yahoo, founded in 1994, and Alta Vista, founded in 1995, were the respective industry leaders. By August 2001, the directory model had begun to give way to search engines, tracking the rise of Google, which was founded in 1998, which had developed new approaches to relevancy ranking. Directory features, while still commonly available, became afterthoughts to search engines. Consequently, algorithms for relevancy ranking have continuously improved. As of 2006, search engine rankings are more important than ever, so much so that an industry has developed that is called search engine optimizers or SEO to help web developers improve their search rankings, and an entire body of case law has developed around matters that affect search engine ranking, such as use of trademarks in meta tags. The sale of search rankings by some search engines has also created controversy among librarians and consumer advocates. As of June 3, 2009, Microsoft launched its own search engine. Bing became immediately popular with the masses searching the internet. It has multiple sites belonging to separate countries, that is United States version is different from the Australian version. US being ranked 17th among all websites. US Bing was ranked in the US as the 17th among all websites out of over 450,000 websites, up from 510 the week before the official launch, when the website was merely a placeholder. Within the search engines category, Bing ranked 4th out of the search engine tracked by Hitwise, and Bing Image Search ranked 15th for the week ending June 6, 2009. Now we talk about dot-com bubble. Suddenly, the low price of reaching millions worldwide became reality. Web was a new killer app. It could bring together unrelated buyers and sellers in seamless and low cost ways. Visionaries developed new business models, while some of the new entrepreneurs had experience in business, in economics. The majority were simply people with ideas. and didn't manage the capital influx prudently. Additionally, many dot-com business plans were predicated on the assumption that by using the internet, they would bypass the distribution channels of existing business and therefore not have to compete with them. When the established business developed their own internet presence, these hopes were shattered, and the newcomers were left attempting to break into market dominated by larger businesses. Many did not have the ability to do so. Dot-com bubble burst on March 10, 2000 when the technology-heavy Nasdaq Composite Index peaked at 5048.62. Intraday peak was 513.52, more than double its value just a year before. By 2001, the bubble's deflation was running at full speed. A majority of the dot-coms had ceased trading after having burned through their venture capital and IPO capital, often without ever making a profit. Online population forecast. A study conducted by Jupiter Research anticipates that 38% increase in the number of people with online access will mean that by 2011, 22% of the Earth's population will serve the internet regularly. The report says 1.1 billion people have regular web access. For the study, Jupiter Research defined online users as people who regularly access the internet from dedicated internet access devices, which exclude cellular telephones. Now we talk about mobile phones and the internet. The first mobile phone with internet connectivity was the Nokia 9000 communicator launched in Finland in 1996. The viability of internet service access on mobile phone was limited until price came down from the models and network providers started to develop systems and services conveniently accessible on phones. NTT Docomo in Japan launched the first mobile internet service iMode in 1999, and this is considered the birth of the mobile phone internet services. In 2001, the mobile phone email system by Research in Motion for their BlackBerry product was launched in America. To make efficient use of the small screen and tiny keypad and one-handed operation typical of mobile phones, a specific document and networking model was created for mobile devices. The Wireless Application Protocol (WAP). Most mobile device internet services operate using WAP. The growth of mobile phone services was initially a primary Asian phenomenon with Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan all soon finding the majority of their internet users accessing resources by phone rather than PC. Developing countries followed with India, South Africa, Canada, Philippines, and Pakistan all reporting that the majority of their domestic users access the internet from a mobile phone rather than a PC. European and North American use of the Internet was influenced by a large installed base of personal computers, and growth of mobile phone Internet access was more gradual, but had reached national penetration levels of 20 to 30% in most Western countries. Crossover occurred in 2008 when more Internet access devices were mobile phones than personal computers. In many parts of the developing world, the ratio is as much as 10 mobile phone users to one PC user. Now we talk about future of web journalism. The web at the primary stage was used for official and commercial purposes only, but in due course of time, the commercial website owners diverted their attention for other services also which included sending of knowledge. PC elites plan to start out full-fledged newspaper portals which address news as their primary product. For this purpose, they appointed programmers for sending news items at the internet site, editors to ascertain the contents, reporters for collection of stories, and other personnel like technical writers, copywriters, and related posts. Thus gave birth to a replacement kind of journalism because the online journalism. The newspaper is electronic digitized blend of text, graphics, color photos, sounds, and full motion video dancing across the book size PC screen, and it's wireless, so you will even take it to the bathroom. There are various nomenclatures of web journalism, including the online journalism, e journalism, online journalism, or e newspaper. The format within the e newspaper is analogous there too of the regular newspaper, and thus the activities finished input processing production and circulation of newspapers online are called web journalism. There are news agencies, reporters, editors, and thus the owners, almost like that of a printed newspaper. But in web journalism, the owners are called the hosts, the editors are called content writers, and thus the content developers. The reporters are called online contributors and online reporters. The news agencies are sometimes same. They also subscribe the regular news agencies, which even have their internet ads and content services. Web journalism in India. Web journalism entered India about 22 years ago, initially to head the or to affect the pressures posed by the post-liberalization era. Different websites like Yahoo, Google, India Times, and similar portals started causation news online. The net revolution started shortly henceforth, with newspapers launching their net editions. With magnified use of computers and broadband, internet journalism has full grown by leaps and bounds. With increase in mobile services that provides property to the web through GPRS, the role of internet journalism has become important. Though the country possesses a beat of barriers exposed by inadequate and poor quality power, high rentals related to broadband services, the affordable computers have supported the dissemination of internet-based news. Foreign majors like Yahoo, Google, and Amazon additionally compete the role of anchor. These portals additionally recognize the importance of Hindi and different regional languages. Regional newspapers have additionally started their portals for the users. Aside from the Hindi language, newspapers of just about each scheduled language have their online editions. The linguistic purity related to internet journalism remains a debated topic. It ought to be unbroken in mind that news is browsed from a newspaper, detected over radio, and views on electronic media. However, with internet journalism, we have browse, hear, and take into account news all at an equivalent time. E-journalism is probably an awful spectacular medium. However, it's not right to infer that internet journalism involves piece of writing and writing of stories alone. If we glance into the contents of these news portals, we will find that the authorities aren't so serious about the news items. Some portals like Rediff.com and Sifi.com are among the few internet sites in India which have some original news contents, but during a number of portals, the primary content is diluted. Now we discuss about the last topic of today's class, that is web journalism, socio-legal responsibilities. The editors and reporters handling web journalism should have some social responsibility so far because the Indian society cares. This web journalism scenario consists of two kinds of news portals. The first category belongs to the newspaper organizations that have their separate website portals. They have their own reporters, agencies, and journalists. Only they hire some technological hands for the portals. The second category, on the other hand, belongs to the folks that have no newspapers but they enjoy this service online only. Within the primary case, the website portals are as responsible because the newspapers, because the gatekeepers in both the agencies are same. But within the second case, journalists need to look out while posting news items and other messages to the web. They need to remember of the legal provisions meant for the journalist like Copyright Act, the Official Secret Act, the PRB Act, defamation, libel, slander, and other related press laws. Further, they have to recollect of the cyber law at international and national level. Because the most aim of the website portal is profit making, there are stresses of some journalists engage in unethical activities, so on, gain fame and money for his or her organization. But it's against the society and also dangerous for the society. Today, net does not have a minimum of a republic of in Republic of India a voluntary self-regulating acknowledged to either guide internet journalists or to act as a repository of such investigative journalism projects. If internet journalists are getting to use the liberty of publication offered by net to victimization any means to collect news, there is an pressing would like for the community of internet journalism and internet publications to distance themselves from what suggests that of story generation and take steps toward fixing a body of web journalists that may undertake the responsibility to guide building budding fact-finding journalists from taking undue risks and motivated comes that may sully the image of internet journalism itself. Gentlemen, with this we come to the class. Thank you. Good.